Welcome to something I am rather excited for. The Executioner DLC. I have been looking forward to this DLC since pretty much the moment I heard about it. The ability to play as the Keeper is absolutely fantastic. Look at that jangling. And was okay. And the DLC is better than the main game. Because you know how combat in the main game isn't good, and the other DLCs it's not good. This DLC is all about the combat, baby, and it's focused around combat. Whoa, look at that. Now, I mentioned it in the other DLC where I kind of thought that pause, so don't mind that. Thought that Kidman's DLC should have been squished, and there should have been extra DLC involving Joseph, and his should have been combat-based, as a symbolism of him fighting the whatever inside of him, the evil within him. But I would have gladly sacrificed some of Kidman's DLC, because let's face it, it was a little longer than it probably should have. It overstayed its welcome a bit. And I would gladly have sacrificed this DLC as well for a Joseph DLC with actual backstory and decentness and decent combat. Because I mean, this DLC is great and all, but it's all combat. There's no story whatsoever to it, like not even a little bit, and it's kind of upsetting. I mean, there's a little bit of story. You're a father trying to get your daughter back to save her from STEM, and that's really it. Other than that, there's nothing really to write home about story-wise. But it's a fun game. I enjoy this DLC. Mainly because a lot of the bosses that gave me such grief in the main story are pushovers. In this, oh my gosh, my nose wants to sneak. Hey, there's Myra. There's the wife of main character, Sebastian. Almost forgot his name there. Oh, that's not too bad. Ooh. So, we're here. Now, something I want to clarify. I did play this DLC in a New Game Plus because it's a little easier and it doesn't take anything away, and it does add stuff. Like, there are some, I'll go through all these in a separate video after, or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, New Game Plus for this doesn't really take anything away. It makes it a little easier, and the bosses go by a little quicker. Not like in a flash, but it's better. And there is extra stuff that you cannot get until you play New Game Plus, which I do show off some of it. There is one mechanic I forgotted to implement, but that's fine. That's not big of a deal. So this is New Game, and in New Game Plus, when the door opens, this guy doesn't appear because this is a tutorial. Yes, you remember in the main game how you had to kind of be careful of these guys because they could really kick your ass? Well, here you kick the ass, and it's so satisfying. After all the grief, all the BS the main game and the Kidman DLCs gave me, the ability to just kick ass in this DLC is so satisfying. Like, look at this. You can't even use... Well, in the Kidman's DLC, you can't even attack besides a gun, rarely. And melee... I don't even know if you can melee in those DLCs, let's be honest. And melee in the main game doesn't do anything. Even when fully upgraded, and with the thing that boosts the damage, it's not worth it at all. Because you can take way more damage. Oh, don't mind the pop-in. You can take way more damage. It's... So, unfortunately, since I'm playing New Game, a lot of these daughter diaries and collectible documents won't show up. That's fine. I do have a video later on that will go over all of them. So let's go over here, and there's the save. It doesn't take you anywhere, just you click on the mirror and you save. But here is some upgrades, if I can access it. Now, certain weapons you can't get unless you beat certain bosses. Look at this. This looks weird. This looks totally different. You unlock new weapons with every boss, Metroid-like. And, yeah, there's a defense and health. It's so cool. And, you can't fully upgrade stuff until you beat certain bosses and beat the game, which is fair, like, because you won't have enough coins but until, like, after that anyways. So, yeah, see, there's a bunch of new stuff. Unfortunately, you'll be able to see some of that when I start up the load game, but let's go load that up real fast. See, we gotta use the memory scan ability there. Sorry for that small quieting there. This is pretty much the only diary that stays constant, regardless of New Game and New Game Plus or whatever. Just because, well, it's kind of story-based. You have to collect the Medallion D, the thing she has, because it's kind of quest story-based. Now, avert your eyes for a bit, because you might be seeing some of the upgrades later on that I can get. This barbed wire trap, by the way, is very handy for later battles. I do want to try to avoid showing off exactly the goodies that I can get, but it's probably going to be inevitable. Not really going to be spoiling, like, a whole ton when that happens, but... Oh yeah, the Mobius things, these are obviously story-based too. You have to pick them up in order to advance the story, so they're kind of, you know, mandatory to pick up. See, we have to... 7 subjects. Our daughter is venturing further and further into the STEM, and we need to defeat people she's interacted with in order to save her brain matter, which is interesting. And it's kind of cool, actually. I don't know if it has, like, any relative actual story, actual additions to the story, but I do like how we're back in the Ruvix mansion, considering, oh, my leg, we didn't get, too much time here. You saw there was a wire trap there. There's I think, only 2, maybe 3 of those that you have to watch out for. Oh no, an enemy! Oh wait, this isn't the main game, and I'm super powerful. By the way, I totally forgot to address that I think this is actually the 3rd time I played through this story. This was like 3rd, like New Game Plus. But that golden hammer we get for defeating the New Game Plus boss that gets unlocked via New Game Plus. We'll be fighting him. And don't you worry, but see all this weird stuff. We get to fight the Satiist. The Satiist first. It starts. He was originally just some crazy murder man. He slowly lost his mind, and now is going crazy. But the documents apparently the tokens that we picked up for the upgrades, everybody has them, which is interesting. How, because the sadist guy was talking about how he's collecting them, and then how the girl, your daughter, picked one up and he freaked out on it. He was like, "Oh, she's gonna steal my upgrades or whatever." Interesting little eyeball there. So just a couple enemies spawn first before the actual boss fight. By the way, this DLC is like all boss fights. You know how in the main game, if you get hit once or twice, you're basically dead? I just got hit like twice, and I'm totally fine. It's totes fine, Magoo. Yeah, I got a lot of points because bosses give you a fair amount. Look at this. Look at this fighting game boss health bars here. A little bit of a pattern. He can wreck you. He can do some damage. Just gotta be careful. But you can easily get in, fake him to a strike, and then back out like a chump. And I do have my damage upgraded. I have my walking speed upgraded, my defense and health upgraded as well. I have all that basic stats upgraded because it does make the fights quicker and easier. And right now, I can kill him in like 1 or 2 more hits. So I'm just going up here to get a health kit. They're pretty limited, but it's not that big of a deal. Because if you upgrade your health and your defense and stuff, and you play smart, you shouldn't be too bad off. Like, each boss arena has 1, maybe 2, and there's a couple in the hub area of the mansion. It's not too bad. Dang, that does a lot of damage. Like, you can totally throw enemies on the spikes. It's super cool. I love how the coins are all bloody when it comes out of them. It's awesome. There are special kills you could do to basic enemies, to basic content, and it unlocks, like, you know how the memos are unlocked? It unlocks a sort of, like, looks like a playing card almost, with a small, like, picture of what it kind of looks like. I have all but the last one, and the last one's really tough to get. It basically requires you to be on New Game Plus Plus with fully upgraded everything, and to play Super Street. So, there's one thing about RPGs where if you can New Game Plus them, and if you can grind... Oh yeah, we unlocked the chainsaw for that guy, by the way. Oh, look at that, it's so powerful. But unfortunately it only has very limited amount of swings. It's basically an insta-kill, but So, I really like RPGs that reward you for taking the time to grind. Like, if you're in an area where if you progress normally, you'll be fine. It may be a little challenging, but you'll be fine throughout the game. But if you take like a couple hours and get like an extra 10 levels, and the area is just like 1-hit, 2-hit KO for enemies, and it's just like, oh, it's so satisfying, it feels so good, girl. I really enjoy that. Compared to games like enemies scale with you, or where you can level up max and breeze through pretty much everything, and then there's that one arena. Oh, by the way, we have to teleport from time to time, and in order to do that, we do the cool thing where we snap our neck and respawn in a new vault thing. It's cool. But RPGs where it's like, if you have better gear, higher stats, sections are easier, and the final area is easier when you max out. Oh, hey there, guy. But you need to have maxed out everything, and not just max out everything to make like the secret boss easy, but you have to do that and be super strategic and super careful and stuff. I don't like that. I feel like for RPGs, if you have all the items, if you maxed out all your stuff, got the super secret armor and weapon, and basically 999 all your stats, that the super secret boss should be a little challenging, but he shouldn't be like, oh, you have to follow like a strategy. You have to follow like this set strategy and hope he doesn't use these attacks, because if he uses these certain attacks in this certain pattern, you will have to restart. And it's so annoying. So this boss has a bit of a gimmicky thing to do with him. We're back in the Kidman's Village. If you haven't watched the Kidman's DLC, this section of the game is actually from her memory. So basic hammer attacks don't do too much to this guy, so you want to use those sweet little steampunky Gatling gun things with the hooks. There's about 3 of them in the area, and they take a while to wind up. It can be possible. Thankfully, if this was the main game, this guy would walk at you for a little bit and then just book at you, even though he's super giant, which is stupid. But he doesn't here, thankfully. Unfortunately, though, there are 3 enemies that spawn in this arena, which can be tough. Let's get to this and try not to... it did some damage. You actually, get one of those special kill card token... Oh, that was gnarly. Also, when all 3 die, they all 3 respawn, so... It's best to try to keep at least one alive, but... It's you know, the big guy hurts him too, so it's not that easy. Yeah, special cards for killing them with harpoon, which is cool. I like this harpoon gun. It's pretty neat. And you have to do a set amount of damage to him to be able to knock him down to execute him. Come on, hurry up before the guy hits me. Yeah! Unfortunately, I didn't grab the health kit that's in this area, because, you know, once you beat the boss, you can never come back to these areas unless you start a new game plus. But if you upgrade your stats, you'll have so much health and so much defense that it'll take a significant amount of hits to make you worried. And say you get comboed bad and you're like, oh, I'm at half my health. Just take a medkit and it heals you like a third of your health. It's pretty sweet. But you can get through a good bit of the game with it. Oh yeah, I totally forgot to mention, the hammer, you get it from... So yeah, there's another boss that gets unlocked when you New Game Plus. And you get the hammer from that boss. And the hammer, what it does is it gives you extra coins when you kill enemies. It's pretty sweet. And I equipped it, well, once you buy it and equip it, just replaces your normal hammer. But I like how it has a little crown, it's golden, lights up a little bit, it's pretty cool. But I did show that beginning of regular New Game. Oh, hey, enemy. See ya. Oh, you're so weak. Oh, popped his head like a cherry tomato. Cherry tomatoes are delicious, by the way. Little health kit there. Secret coins hidden from place to place. Not bad. Not really worried. There's an achievement for maxing out all your gear. But, whatever, you know. And there are little battle arenas. There's 3. Oh, get that rat. There's 3 small battle arenas. Oh, also some side areas. I love this. This room and the room next to it, if you remember from the main game. Oh, you little bugger. You don't have to go in here as the keeper. You really could just book it to the bosses, but, you know, I show them because, you know, why not? You know, little side areas. Yeah, the little arenas, oh, I forget their name. They're little chambers. There's 3 of them. The third one's really tough. But the first 2 are fairly easy. The third one's where you do your money grinding by the ways. But they're repeatable. The first one gives you probably, I don't know, 30 total with enemies. The second one probably gives you a little more. The third one gives you hundreds. Because the third one you can only access on New Game Plus, and the reason for that is it is a boss rush. There's plenty of enemies, and you encounter fat enemies too, eventually. And you fight all the bosses. You fight 2 sadists, you fight, spoilers, you fight every single boss, including the secret boss. And I think the only boss you don't beat in that boss rush mode is the final boss in the game. Because that would be a little OP, because the final boss you can attack with your melee and your weapons, and it does some damage. But there's an environmental thing. There's usually a note there by those guys. But there's an environmental thing that you can use on the final boss that takes him down between his phases. There's these 3 phases. Spoiler alert, it's a he. Oh, it doesn't matter. There's 3 phases, and it takes a lot of damage with your hammer and your weapons. So it's best to just use the environmental method, which is the preferred way, to take him down instantly to the next phase. It's annoying, but you know how it is. Yeah, that's the only boss, because the arena doesn't have the environmental things you need to take down that boss instantly to the next phase. And taking him down with weapons is really dumb. So yeah, all but the final boss, which is pretty cool. Let me see. Yeah, the hammer, yeah, it does that. I feel like there was another point I was going to make, but I totally forget. Can't defuse those tripwires, unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer, but hey, you know, how it be. I love how this guy's like, oh, I'm prepared for you, I'm ready for you. Yeah, okay. Missed him, thankfully. Not a big deal, though. In the main game, a big swing from a dude with an axe would have hurt a lot. Like, enough to be like, alright, maybe I need to heal. Just quick pause real fast. Here it's like, oh, you tickled me, basically. Yeah, the wardrobes and stuff have a couple items here and there. Nothing too too fantastic, but hey, you know, it's whatever. And we've looped around. Now that door is unlocked now, so that's a bit of a shortcut, I guess. I don't think you can replay the bosses. I'm not sure if you can, actually. The only place I know you can replay the bosses is the third and final those one rooms. I'm sorry, my nose is all stuffed right now. Those 3 battle arena rooms. And oh yeah, those are repeatable. So if you run out of, oh, we have to fight Joseph. Interesting. Is that Kim in there? Probably. Why is the arm all... That's weird. Yeah, they're repeatable, and when you use, like, your trips wires or your bombs or other throwable, usable items, you can't really pick any up. You can pick maybe 2 traps up through the whole game, and you have to spend coins to actually unlock them again. And, interesting fact, he spoke English the very first time I played through this on New Game. And I don't know why he's, maybe it's just like in a little Easter egg. It's like, oh hey, check it out. New Game Plus. He now speaks Japanese. It's like, okay. So we got Molotov cocktails from him when we defeat him. Which are alright. I don't really use any other weapons besides the axe and maybe one other we encounter that I kind of want to avoid using. Well, you're going to see it in a few minutes, but it's a spoiler from another boss later on. Oh yeah, see, there's the big guy. Also, the exploder dudes from the... yeah, see, I got a lot of health gone, but look at that. Oh, so beautiful. And bosses are really the main threats. Just, oh, that stab attack does a lot of... It's hard to hit, though, which, you know, balancing issues. But yeah, the battle arenas, like the first one is repeatable, so you can get like 30 or whatever. Nice. And if you use items to get like the side collectibles, like the card executions or whatever, or use them on bosses, you can buy and replenish ammo. Oh, there's a pickup there. You can replenish ammo for that and other weapons, like your sword and your machine gun. No. Machine gun? What? Chainsaw. You can replenish the uses of it and, yeah, of that and other weapons, special weapons, by spending coins on them, and you can grind the coins out in the battle arena. The first one is in this little foyer here. Another one's a little later on, and the final one is right before the final boss. And the final one, like I said, is a boss rush with all but the final boss, and it's really tough. Here is the New Game Plus boss, Sebastian. Yeah, the main character from the first game. From the main game. The main character from the main game. He's basically like Joseph, only stronger. Instead of a regular pistol, he has a magnum, which hurts a lot more. Instead of the cocktail, he has the agony crossbow, which he lays down traps. And he's generally tougher. And I'm going to be using a weapon I get a little later on to take him out. Look at that. That looks cool. See, that's a little like clone of what the hell is in my brain? What the hell in my brain? Wait, what's in my... Why is in my... Okay. So yeah, Sebastian here, same room. Like most of the... like a couple of the boss fights. He's got the coat. Do you say anything? No? Okay. That's kind of lame. Yeah, see, you see a little of the weapons. Oh, see how much damage it did. He's really tough. And in the boss rush arena, the final enemies you have to fight is Sebastian and Joseph together at the same time. Yeah. Thankfully, the rockets are significantly easier to use here than they are in the as Sebastian. Because as Sebastian, you have to kind of like buckle down and whatnot. I'm trying to see if I can find a health before I continue, but I think I might have to say no to that, because you see Sebastian does so much damage. Unfortunately, he cheesed the boss a little bit, but you see the agony crossbow is really tough. And in the boss rush mode, you don't have any health bars. You just have to keep attacking them until they die. And it's really tough, considering you go against him and Joseph at the same time at the end, along with basic enemies. It's a little difficult. But with that out of the way, when you kill him, he unlocks the Golden Hammer. With that out of the way, let's continue to the second part of the DLC.